Today we're going to talk about not just the big lie, but we're also going to talk about what I call the big truth. And in order for you to be able to apply this in your own life, to restore harmony in your own relationships, both personal and professional, which is the entire goal of what I call speaking your truth, higher truth, and the goal of this channel, we're going to bring up a concept that has nothing to do with politics, but what I call the biggest lie and the biggest truth. Let's watch CNN's Jake Tapper, who hints at what this biggest truth is.
I happen to believe that it's not good for one party to have all the control in Washington, whichever party it is, with no counter-argument ever being made in a successful way. I don't think that's healthy. I don't think it's healthy for the country to only have a debate between the left and the far left. We need a thriving Republican Party. We need an argument, a counter-argument. No, I think, this is not me, but we need a Republican Party saying, no, I think that $6 trillion in new spending is a bad idea, and here's why. No, I think that subsidized daycare is the wrong way to go for our culture, and here's why. These are not, again, my arguments. These are arguments that conservatives would make. Okay, great. We need those debates happening. But we can't have those debates if one side of the argument is not willing to stick to standards and facts.
Tapper speaks of it beautifully. The biggest truth is that we all have a right to our voice. We all have a right to our opinion. And when I give you that right, then you are going to give me that right. And what we're doing, we're acting in harmony. This is what the biggest truth is. The biggest truth is that I can honor you. I can honor that you have a different opinion than I have. I can honor the fact that you see the world differently than I do. That those 100 billion neurons you have in your brain are wired entirely different than the 100 billion neurons I have in my brain. That's okay. This is the wonderful diversity and the glory of the human experience. But when one person takes a my way or the highway approach, or a party takes a my way or the highway approach, you're either with me or you're against me. You cross that line and you are no longer invited here. Then this becomes part of the biggest lie. The biggest lie is that we are all separate, that it's me and mine against the world versus you and yours, that I have to protect my turf from you because you may infringe upon my turf, my right. But it's just this mirror within a mirror within a mirror, that as soon as you start acting like that, then I start acting like that. The big lie, what began this whole thing, basically Trump denying that Biden won the election.
If you count the legal votes, I easily win.
Despite that, approximately 60 of many of his own judges that he elected to the federal court ruled that there was no election fraud. The fact that the Supreme Court, who Trump managed to fill with 3 of his own conservative justices, they also ruled there was no election fraud. And so the big lie that now is occurring is this perpetuation of the fact that the Democrats didn't fairly win the election. But the bigger lie is the attempt to make Liz Cheney an outsider.
I think she's got real problems. I've had it with her. It's, I've lost confidence.
Taking her from her third most powerful position in the House and trying to basically take her power away because she essentially doesn't agree with the Republicans who are trying to perpetuate the big lie. And yet she is one of the most staunchest Republicans.
I'm so excited President Trump is there at the Farm Bureau convention. I think he's the first sitting president in over 25 years to address the Farm Bureau. And
I personally, I'm an independent. I want to vote for the best person from either party. Give me a great Democratic candidate. Give me a great Republican candidate. Make it hard for me to decide who to vote for. That is the greatest goal I think that we as a society should hope for, that we have great Democratic and Republican candidates, not one side trying to squash the other into the ground, or one side's trying to squash any of their members, like Liz Cheney being squashed, just because she doesn't agree with something that is an outright lie. The biggest truth is that underneath this facade, underneath the skin, beyond these 100 billion neurons, what is it all about? What is this spirit? Who is talking here? That soul, that spirit that's inside of me, it's of the same substance of the soul and spirit inside of you. And when we take this form in a human body, we get to celebrate the expressions of that substance, that higher self, that creator self, what John Lewis would call the divine spark. If we attempt to squash it in another, then that is the biggest lie, attempting to make that person seem not only wrong, but totally to vilify them.
Here's Liz Cheney suggesting that any news organization that aired questions about election fraud, presumably including this channel, bears moral responsibility for the Capitol riot of January 6th. And that's why, Liz Cheney says, we're going to need a, quote, 9/11 style commission to get to the bottom of it all. Because really, people, January 6th was a lot like 9/11. Thousands dead.
Also, you in your personal relationships or your professional life with employees or with a boss or with your spouse or with your children, to think that somebody has to see things the way you are in order for you to want to speak with them, that's the biggest lie, that we have to see eye to eye. And the biggest truth is that we are all made of the same substance, here in a slightly different form, or maybe a very different form. As Teilhard de Chardin would say, we are spiritual beings having a human experience. Let's celebrate that human experience. Let's celebrate the differences. As Jake Tapper said here so beautifully, let's celebrate the fact that there are people with differing opinions. The Democrats celebrate the fact that there are Republicans. That's a democracy. Republicans celebrating the fact there are Democrats. Democrats celebrating the fact that in their own party, such as Joe Manchin, may have a little bit different opinion than the other Democrats.
The reason President Biden's ambitious agenda is so big and so bold is because they understand history. And history shows that the president's party, if they have majorities in Congress, as he does, oftentimes lose that in the midterm elections. And that's why they have a small window to get things done they believe is possible. So they believe that you're one of the main roadblocks on getting those goals accomplished. How do you respond to that?
I'm not a roadblock at all.
Republicans celebrating the fact that Republicans in their own party, Liz Cheney, Adam Kinzinger, have a different opinion than the other people do. This is democracy, and this is the biggest truth.